My mom lied to me for years about my allergies. You won't believe what happened when I found out the truth. I was devastated when my boyfriend erased my novel ideas after 3 years of hard work. Our relationship felt like it was falling apart. I've been working on a novel for over a year now, writing every day, even if it's just one sentence. 6 months ago, my university switched to smartboards and tossed all the old whiteboards in the trash. I salvaged 2 of them because I have a large empty wall in my living room. While most of my writing goes on Google Drive, I also keep notes on the whiteboards. Character traits, names, locations, a rough timeline, basically anything I want to keep in mind. I used to take photos of these boards so I could carry my ideas with me. I'd write on my lunch breaks. But I stopped because it became overwhelming and my writing suffered. My boyfriend helps me with my writing and it's become a way for us to bond. So I haven't taken any pictures of the whiteboards in the last 3 months. They've been really helpful because I can see my notes from across the room while I sit in my favorite chair. But last night when I came home, everything was erased. It was like my thoughts had been wiped away. Writing things by hand is more cathartic for me, and I had sketches and ideas that are now gone. Some of it is saved in my head or on my Google Drive, but there are details I can never recover. It's not just about the loss of the notes, though. It's the fact that he erased them. We don't live together, and he told me that I've been too focused on my work and neglecting him. We spend 5 or 6 nights a week together at my place, me writing while he plays video games. It's a routine that works for us, and I thought we enjoyed it. We laugh a lot, he helps me with my wording, and I look up things to help him with his game. This is the first time he's mentioned that it bothers him. If he had talked to me about it, we could have worked it out, but instead, he went straight to this extreme action, and I don't understand why. I'm at a loss for what to do. I'm so upset. We've only had one serious argument before about his driving, and it got better. My family even invited him on vacation a few weeks ago. He's a regular part of my life, and I feel so hurt by his actions. He's been my muse, and just the other day we were at a jewelry store looking at rings. Now I don't know what to feel. Anger, sadness, confusion. I'm so conflicted. Last night I was so upset that I asked him to leave. He hasn't called, texted, or even shown up. I keep thinking of what to ask him, but keep erasing it. Why did you do this? Are you unhappy with us? What did I do? I'm heartbroken and I haven't heard from him all day. I'm scared to reach out, afraid he'll say he wants to break up or will ignore me. TLDR. My boyfriend erased the whiteboard I use for writing my novel. He hasn't contacted me since and I'm devastated, confused, and angry. What should I do? This is a crucial part of understanding his character. If he returns with a heartfelt apology and a solid plan for how he's going to manage his emotions in healthier ways moving forward, then maybe we can have a real conversation about whether continuing this relationship is possible. By the way, I actually haven't read Little Women yet, but I've ordered it for my Kindle. It's just so unexpected that I can't help but wonder if there's more going on with him than he's letting on. I don't know. As another writer, I would have been devastated. The amount of work he just wiped away, all because he wanted to speed up the process of me finishing my work? It's honestly ridiculous. If I were you, I'd be beyond upset. You might even want to consider what 4B3 suggested. Take his key away. Don't leave him with any leeway. He lost those privileges. I've been in a situation like this before, where old notebooks of mine were destroyed in a grill fire, and truthfully, I never accepted the apology. The person who did it isn't even a part of my life anymore. I'm not saying you should cut him off completely, but there definitely needs to be a conversation about what this means for your relationship. If he can't handle you being immersed in something you're passionate about, something you've dedicated years to, then he's not equipped to date someone who's a creator. What's even more concerning is that he thought erasing something that was important to you was the best course of action. But once you've had time to process, try to focus on yourself again. It may be hard, but rebuilding could bring something new. Take care of yourself, and remember, even though it's painful, you'll find a way forward. It may take time, but you've got this. As for me, I've only had one moment in my life where I was truly in shock, like when I saw the ventriloquist girl on America's Got Talent. It's a strange feeling, but I had that same sensation last night before everything blanked out and I found myself face down on the bed asking him to leave. I'm absolutely overwhelmed right now. I'm not sure what to say. I called a girlfriend and asked if I could come over to talk, so we're having some wine and pizza. In this section, we're given directions on exercise. After I made my post, I went to a friend's house. We had pizza, ice cream, and wine. She's someone who gives solid, no-nonsense advice, so I felt comfortable talking everything through with her. She couldn't figure out why he did it either. We talked about how much he seemed to care about me, how we look into each other's eyes, but it also made me realize how much hesitation I had. I'm an optimistic person and I tend to overlook flaws. I suspected that he had some unresolved childhood issues and was coping in unhealthy ways, but whenever I tried to bring them up, he'd get dismissive and say, "It's fine, I don't care anymore." Yet he'd still bring them up during arguments. I didn't recognize how toxic this pattern was until now. That same night, I told him I was coming over to talk the next day. I told him I'd be there at 11 a.m., and he just texted, "Okay," which I didn't respond to. When I arrived at 11, he was still asleep and got upset when I woke him. That completely deflated me. Normally, I cry when I'm upset, but I was so angry and heartbroken that I couldn't even think clearly. I left without saying anything to him. He didn't follow me out. I went to the kitchen and took my house key from his ring. I drove home in a daze, packed all his things, put them in a box on my porch, and texted him to come pick them up. His response was, "What the hell? That's fine, I'll come by later." I went out with some friends, got drunk, and had some great food. It helped me feel a bit better, but when I got home and saw his things were gone, I was heartbroken. We never texted again. I never reached out. It's been 3 months, and even though I broke up with him, I still feel confused and heartbroken. I never figured out why he did what he did, and I probably never will. I miss his support and companionship. I wish I could tell you that I finished my book, but I haven't written much since. I can't seem to get into my character's head anymore. There's this persistent feeling of loneliness and grief, which, oddly enough, helped me create a better outline for my novel, even though I still can't seem to connect with my characters. The other day, I went to the bookstore to study and ended up browsing books on time travel. I found one with thousands of glowing reviews, and it was exactly what I needed. My novel is science fiction, and I've been trying to figure out how to weave time travel into it. It felt almost serendipitous. As I started reading, I realized that a lot of my ideas align with theoretical physics, which is eerie since I've never studied it. Suddenly, string theory makes sense. Cosmology makes sense. I'm astonished that so much of my plot is already being explored in depth by physicists. It's unsettling and it's reignited my passion. I'm infatuated with all activities in my mindset. I'm ready to quit writing and make Periscope all the more wonderful. Thanks. The more I read, the more I felt the spark return. I can't put the book down and read at least 20 pages every night. It's been years since I've had time to sit down and read for pleasure. Now, I carry a notebook with me everywhere, jotting down ideas as they come to me. I still haven't written about my characters yet, but my passion is alive again, and my plot is beginning to make sense. I'm not thinking about my ex anymore. The breakup doesn't confuse me anymore. Sometimes I get a little sad, whether it's at night or when I lock eyes with someone new, but I haven't even considered dating. I'm still too hurt to pursue that. But every day, I move on a little more. I wanted to thank everyone who offered advice. I'd completely forgotten about my post until I looked back through the comments. Reading them made me realize just how messed up everything was, and in a way, it gave me the closure I needed. Thank you. TL. My ex-boyfriend erased my book ideas. I broke up with him and haven't heard from him since. I struggled with writing for months, but recently, I've rediscovered my passion. It took time, but I've found myself again. Next story. I found out my parents have been lying to me about my food allergies my entire life. Am I justified in cutting them out of my life? Original post. I'm using a throwaway account because I have family on Reddit. Since I was little, my parents have told me that I'm allergic to both milk and chocolate. The story goes that I had a severe reaction to milk chocolate on my very first Halloween. My mom gave me some, and I had to be rushed to the hospital with hives and breathing problems, where they told her I was allergic to both milk and chocolate. So, you're looking at the medical records? Since then, I've never been allowed to eat anything with chocolate or cow's milk. Over the summer, I visited a college friend out of state, and while there I decided to visit my godmother, my aunt, who I haven't seen in years. We had a great time catching up and even went hiking. At lunch, she pulled out some granola bars with chocolate in them, and I told her I couldn't eat them because I'm allergic to chocolate. She was shocked and told me that I've never been allergic to chocolate and that my mom had lied to me all these years. She explained that the story about me reacting to chocolate at Halloween was made up. The truth was that I had gotten sick at daycare and my mom had tried to sue the owner for some unclear reason. Apparently, my mom thought the daycare owner was flirting with my dad and wanted to get the daycare shut down, so she made up the chocolate allergy story. She even made sure not to tell the daycare about the allergy and waited for them to feed me chocolate so she could use it as a reason to sue. When that didn't work, she came up with the milk allergy story instead. When I confronted my mom about this, she stopped talking to my aunt and they haven't spoken since. I was stunned. I really wanted to believe my mom was telling the truth and that my aunt was lying. But I had to face the reality when I had ate the granola bar and had no reaction. I was upset and immediately called my dad. Our conversation went like this. Me: Dad, did you know I'm not actually allergic to chocolate or milk like you and Mom have told me? Dad: Don't be ridiculous. You've never been able to eat chocolate without a reaction. Why would we make that up? Me: I'm not accusing you of making it up. I just want to know if I've ever had an allergy test. I ate some chocolate and I didn't have any reaction. Did I ever have a test? Dad: I'll have to ask your mother. I don't like that you're calling us liars about this. Me: When did I say anyone was lying? I just want to know if I was ever tested because I ate chocolate and nothing happened. At that point, my mom jumped in. Mom, honey, don't you remember the hives you got at your 10th birthday? Your friend gave you a Tootsie Pop and you had a reaction to the chocolate. Me: Mom, I never had a 10th birthday party, and I don't know what you're talking about. I was just asking if I had ever been tested for the allergy, because I ate chocolate with no reaction. I just want to know if I can eat chocolate now. Mom, I don't know why you're making a big deal out of this. You can't eat chocolate because we say you can't. You're just lying right now. At that point, I didn't know what to say anymore. How could she claim I didn't have a birthday party that year? She's always been so ungrateful, and now she's acting like I should just forget about it. Me: Mom, I didn't have a birthday party when I turned 10 because I was at summer camp. Why are you pretending I did? She flipped out and started screaming, and I ended up hanging up because it was just a blur of noise. I muted my phone, and she went on a rampage, calling me over 40 times. My aunt watched, horrified. She pulled me into a hug and said that this was exactly why she cut ties with my mom. This kind of thing, manipulating people and rewriting reality, is what my mom does. I'm still shaken by the whole thing. It was one of the strangest conversations I've ever had, and I'm starting to wonder who these people are anymore. It's all so unsettling, and I can't even imagine talking to them again. I really think they'll just keep turning against me if I let them back in. Is it wrong to want to cut them out completely? TLDR, my parents always told me I was allergic to chocolate. When I visited an aunt who I hadn't seen in years, she revealed my mom made it up to try to sue a daycare. I ate the food I supposedly couldn't have and was fine. When I confronted my parents, they accused me of calling them liars and fabricated some fake birthday memory. It was all so surreal, and I just want to know if it's okay to cut them out of my life. Relevant comments. A user responded, I just can't believe it took you this long to figure it out. I have nut allergies, and growing up, my parents kept me away from all nuts. I didn't doubt them until recently. when everything started falling apart. OP's additional comments: "My mom and dad are inseparable, and if she's a narcissist, he's definitely one too. I can't afford an allergy test, but I know I'm not going to die from chocolate anymore. I'll never forget the way she lied about my birthday, though. I don't think I can ever speak to her again. She doesn't even remember my birthdays, and she's supposed to be my mom. Thanks for the support." Update: It's been some time since my original post, but I need to update you all because my mom went completely off the rails. To summarize the new revelations, I am not allergic to chocolate, and chocolate is amazing. I now can't get enough of the chocolate fountain at Golden Corral. Also, I'm not allergic to milk, just mildly lactose intolerant, which is completely different from what I was told. Turns out I'm only allergic to pollen and some animal dander. My mom is truly a psycho. If she can find a way to make your life miserable, then fine, I guess. After my post, I decided to cut off contact with my parents, except via email. My mom bombarded me with over 1,000 calls in the first week alone. Eventually, I had to get a new phone and stopped answering the old one. To put it in perspective, she used to call me a few times a week, but the deluge of calls made me feel like I was losing my mind. Since my mom knew where my dorm was, I had to request a transfer to a more secluded dorm for my privacy. I didn't tell anyone except my friends about the move, hoping things would calm down. For a while, everything seemed fine. That is, until I got a call from an adjunct professor about tutoring a new student. The school allows students to arrange tutoring for free, and I went to the library to meet them. To my shock, the new student was my mom. She had enrolled as a student just to get close to me. When I saw her, I froze and tried to leave the library, but she followed me outside. I managed to escape into a fraternity house and lost her, but now she's been stalking me around campus. I tried reporting it to the school, but campus police told me that unless she made explicit threats, there's nothing they could do. I reported her to the regular police, but they said the same thing. I'm running out of options. My mom has been posting on Facebook about taking the same classes as me next semester. She even posted her schedule, and it turns out we're in one of the same classes. I feel like I'm losing control over my life. She's denying everything, including the lies about the allergies, and keeps claiming I'm just making things up. My aunt had to leave the country for work, and I'm feeling more alone than ever. My dad has vanished from the picture and I can't reach him. Any advice on how to handle this crazy situation? TLDR. After I found out my mom lied to me about my food allergies, I cut off contact with her. Now she's enrolled in my classes and stalking me on campus, and I'm unsure of how to stop her. Relevant comments. A commenter pointed out, "I don't think your mom is a physical or financial threat, but it's clear she's been emotionally manipulating you for a long time. Take control, even if it means standing firm against her." Another user asked how the mom found OP's schedule. She must have accessed it through the degree catalog, which lists all required classes, and her pep talk by her beginning to end his transition studies without sacrificing the connection he has to his mother. Here's the rewritten version of the fifth part of the story, in English, maintaining the tone and style while ensuring it is distinctly different from the original. 1999. The pharmacist suggests a trial of 64 European refugees, saddling 2 of them with aspartame to apeben pill. She managed to enroll in one of the 200-level courses I still had left, and it doesn't require any prerequisites at all. Somehow, she's really clever and was able to bypass many of the core courses. She'll be taking Calculus 2 next semester. When I was advised to contact the department chair or professor to have her removed from my class, I started drafting an email to the chair and waited for a response from the student affairs office. I still have the phone, but when I tried to report her stalking behavior to the police, they refused to look at it. It's an iPhone, so it keeps a record of every call attempt she made. This is my first time posting here because I hesitated to label my mom as a narcissist, but after everything that's happened, I can't think of a more fitting term for her behavior. Many people directed me to this subreddit after I shared my story in a relationship advice forum. To summarize, my parents lied to me for years about having food allergies, specifically to chocolate and milk. I believed them until I reconnected with my estranged aunt, who revealed the tangled web of lies my mother had spun. I decided to cut contact with them, and that's when my mom completely lost it. She enrolled at my university and began stalking me, even signing up for the same classes I needed to take next semester. I reached out to the Student Affairs Department, and they arranged a meeting between my mom and me to address the stalking. The administrator listened to both sides of the story, and my mom was caught in yet another lie. She showed up with her best poker face, trying to claim that she hadn't contacted me in months. She denied calling me repeatedly, denied trying to get tutoring from me, and denied all of her actions. She tried to present herself as the victim, portraying me as a mean and disrespectful daughter who hated her mother. That's when I pulled out my iPhone and showed the administrator the call log. Over 1,000 calls from her. This wasn't an exaggeration. The call log reached into the 4-digit range. My mom tried to argue that the number wasn't hers, but the administrator cross-referenced it with the student database and confirmed she was lying. She tried to backpedal, but the damage had already been done. The administrator made both of us sign agreements stating that we could not contact each other for the rest of the school year or face suspension. My mom was forced to change her schedule to avoid being in the same classes as me. The administrator made it clear that if she tried to break the contract, even accidentally, her student ID could be revoked, and she wouldn't be able to enter any campus buildings where I might be. These buildings use RFID cards for access, and we have to swipe them to enter. When the meeting ended, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. I finally felt free after weeks of stress. But then a few nights later, my dad left me a voicemail saying my mom had tried to take her own life with sleeping pills and was being taken to the hospital. I thought it might be a joke, so I called the hospital, and they connected me to my dad in the waiting room. He was furious with me, accusing me of making my mom's life miserable and calling me all sorts of names. He told me that if I didn't want her to die, I shouldn't have made her so unhappy. That was my Thanksgiving. I don't know what to think or feel about it all. I'm just going to bake a pumpkin pie and try to forget it, but honestly, nothing tastes right anymore. Relevant comments. It's not your fault. Not even a little. Your mom is dealing with deep issues, and this suicide attempt is just the result of years of mental health struggles. While we take all threats of suicide seriously, the fact that she didn't succeed is telling. It's often more about manipulation than an actual desire to end her life. I know this is a painful and sensitive subject, but the fact that she's still alive is important. You're not responsible for her actions. You've mentioned that your mom is incredibly intelligent, and it's clear she knows how to manipulate the situation to get attention. She's making sure to involve you because she knows you're the one who will react to her crisis. Please take care of yourself, and don't let her guilt trip you into believing this is your fault. Thank you for reading. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories.